I was holding the phone in my hand, about to make the most difficult decision of my life. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my temples. I looked up at the sky through the window of my small apartment in Phoenix and said, "God, you have 3 days to show me what to do, or I'm going through with this." I had no idea those words would change everything forever. My name is Julie, and today I want to share with you the most powerful story of my life. A story about how God can transform our deepest despair into a miracle that still leaves me speechless, 21 years later. If you're going through a difficult time and need hope, subscribe to the channel right now, because stories like this can completely change your perspective on what God can do when everything seems lost. It was January 2003, and my life was crumbling like a house of cards. On my birthday, what should have been a day of celebration, my biological father took his own life. The pain I felt in that moment was indescribable. It was as if someone had ripped a part of my soul away. But that was just the beginning of a series of events that would take me to rock bottom. In February, I lost custody of my daughter Mia. You can't imagine the emptiness of having your arms torn away from you when you most need to hold that little child. Mia was only 4 years old, her little eyes looking at me, not understanding why mommy couldn't take her home. March came and I lost my job. The manager called me into his office on a Friday afternoon and said I wasn't meeting expected performance standards. Of course I wasn't. I could barely get out of bed in the morning. I walked out of that Phoenix office carrying a box with my belongings, feeling like a complete failure. April was the final blow. I was about to be evicted from my apartment. The landlord had already posted the notice on my door. I had 30 days. My car was also about to be repossessed by the bank. I had stopped talking to my parents over 6 months earlier because I was so ashamed of my situation. And to make everything worse, I was battling an addiction that was consuming my life. It was in this moment of complete chaos that I discovered I was pregnant. I remember exactly where I was when I saw those 2 lines on the test, in the tiny bathroom of my apartment, sitting on the cold tile floor, with my hands shaking. I couldn't breathe properly. How could this be happening? Me, who could barely take care of myself, who had lost custody of the daughter I already had, who had no job, no home, no family nearby. The smell of the small, stuffy bathroom made me nauseous, but I didn't know if it was from the pregnancy or the pure terror I was feeling. I held that test in my hands and started crying. It wasn't tears of joy, it was pure despair. I could feel the weight of the world on my shoulders getting even heavier. How am I going to do this? I whispered to the empty walls. How am I going to take care of a baby when I lost the right to care for my own daughter? The next few days were the darkest of my life. I spent hours pacing around my apartment, which seemed to be getting smaller each day. The walls felt like they were closing in on me. I could hear my neighbors living their normal lives through the thin walls, televisions on, conversations, laughter. All I wanted was to be able to feel something other than the paralyzing fear that had taken hold of me. I remember lying in my bed one night, staring at the ceiling that had a water stain in the corner, and thinking, this baby deserves better than this. This baby deserves a mother who can take care of him, a stable home, a family that loves him. My heart was broken, but my mind was trying to be logical. Maybe it's better to let this baby stay with Jesus, I thought. In heaven, he'll be safe, loved, without having to go through all this craziness that is my life. It was as if I was trying to convince myself that I was doing the right thing, but my heart was screaming that something was wrong. So I made an appointment. My hands shook when I dialed the number. The voice on the other end was professional, cold. "We can see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Tuesday. I looked at the calendar on the kitchen wall. I had 5 days. 3 days before the appointment, I couldn't take it anymore. The anxiety was consuming me. I hadn't slept properly in days. It was as if there was a battle happening inside my chest, my mind saying one thing, my heart saying another. That night, I fell to my knees on the living room floor. I'm not even a very religious person, but I was desperate. The old carpet in the apartment scratched my knees, but I didn't even feel it. Tears fell to the floor like rain. "God," I said out loud, my voice echoing in the empty apartment. "I don't know what to do. I really don't know. Look at my life, it's a complete mess. I've lost everything. Everything. How can I bring a baby into this chaos?" I was sobbing now, my words coming out broken. "I don't know if it's wrong to let this baby stay in heaven with you, where he'll be safe and loved, or if it's wrong for me to make this decision. I'm confused, angry and scared. Then I spoke the words that would change everything. You have 3 days, God. 3 days to show me something, anything, that will let me know what to do. Because the way things are, I'm going through with this on Tuesday. On Saturday, I had a temporary job at a country club in Scottsdale. It was a golf tournament, and I was working at a beverage tent. Nobody there knew I was pregnant. Nobody knew what I was going through. To them, I was just another temp worker serving cold beers and sodas. The Arizona sun was strong that day, and I could feel sweat running down my back even under the tent. The smell of freshly cut grass from the golf course normally calmed me, but that day everything seemed too intense. Every sound, every smell, every sensation. Between customers, when I had a few minutes alone, I would put paper napkins under my eyes to dry the tears that wouldn't stop coming. I tried to smile when someone approached the tent, but inside I was screaming. 2 days, God, I whispered to myself. You still have 2 days. That's when Richard showed up. I recognized him immediately. We had worked together a few years before, but I hadn't seen him in a long time. He approached the tent with that gentle smile I remembered, ordered his beer, and started walking back to his golf cart. But then something strange happened. He stopped, turned to look at me, took a few steps in my direction, then stopped again. I could see he was struggling with something internally. He went back to the cart, sat down, but his eyes kept looking at me. Finally, he got up and walked determinedly back to my tent. What he said changed my life forever. Julie, he said, with a serious expression on his face. I know this might seem strange, and I almost didn't come talk to you because I just had a beer and I don't want you to think I'm talking nonsense. He paused, ran his hand through his hair. But I just can't leave here without telling you this. My heart started beating faster. There was something in his voice, something in the expression in his eyes. Julie, I've been praying for you. A lot. You've been on my heart constantly these past few weeks, and I don't even know why. I just knew I needed to pray for you. Folks, when I say I felt like a ball of energy had hit me in the chest, I'm not exaggerating. It was as if the whole world had stopped for a second. I could feel my heart beating so hard it felt like it was going to jump out of my chest. In that moment, it was as if God was speaking directly to me. Julie, if I put you on his heart, someone who doesn't see you every day, someone who hasn't seen you in years, I haven't forgotten about you. I still see you. I still know what's going on. I'm working. Instantly, and I mean instantly, all the hatred, all the fear, all the anger I felt toward this baby disappeared. It was like someone had turned on a light in the deepest darkness. It was as if God was telling me, Julie, when Moses stood before the Red Sea, he had no idea how to cross. It was impossible. He had no way to get across. His only option was me. Julie, this is your Red Sea. Your only option now is me. If you let me work, if you let me do something, I will part this Red Sea. I will get you and this baby across. I started crying right there in front of Richard. You have no idea how perfect your timing was, I said, my voice shaking. You have no idea how much I needed to hear this. I told my supervisor I was leaving and went straight to the Target parking lot. I sat in my old car and cried like I had never cried before. But this time they weren't tears of despair, they were tears of relief, of hope, of gratitude. Okay, God, I said out loud in the car. If we're going to have this baby, you need to prepare my parents' hearts, because I'm terrified to tell them. You're going to have to let them know, because if they get upset, I'm going to panic. 3 days later, I drove to my parents' house for the first time in over 6 months. My hand was shaking when I rang the doorbell. When my mother opened the door, the expression on her face was one of total surprise. Julie, what are you doing here? She asked. I just needed to come see you, I replied. We sat at the kitchen table, me, my mother, and my younger sister. We started talking about trivial things, but I couldn't concentrate on anything else. My heart was beating so hard I was sure they could hear it. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and blurted out, I'm pregnant. My mother slapped her hand on the table and looked at my sister. What did I tell you? She said. My sister looked at me with wide eyes. Julie, 3 days ago, Mom was in her room, and I heard her groaning and praying intensely for you. She came out of her room, came to mine, and said, your sister is pregnant. And she's thinking about not having this baby. We have to pray for them because God has a plan and a destiny for her and for this baby, and she's thinking about ending this baby's life. We have to stop this. It was exactly at the moment I was at the country club, thinking about the appointment I had made. Exactly when Richard approached me and said he had been praying for me. Exactly when God said, "This is your Red Sea, and I will part it." That baby is 21 years old today. There was still a lot of work to be done on me, a lot of healing and growth ahead. But God made a way for all of us. My faith was tiny back then. I had just a spark, just a thought that maybe, just maybe, God could make it work. And it was enough. If you're in a situation where your faith is that small, where you think maybe it's possible that God could make a way, that maybe it could work out, take that little faith and run with it. Give Him the opportunity to show up in your life and show that He is the God of the impossible. That's what He specializes in. If He did it for me, He can do it for you too. If you've ever experienced a moment where God answered your prayers in an unexpected way, or if you're going through something difficult right now and need prayer, share in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone needs to hear today. Sometimes, God uses our testimonies to be the answer to someone else's prayer, just like Richard was the answer to mine. And if you believe that God still performs miracles today, you cannot miss the next video. It's about a couple who received the most devastating news imaginable, a terminal illness with no hope for a cure. The doctors said there was nothing more they could do. But what God did will leave you speechless. When you think you've seen every possible miracle, this story will show you that God is just getting started. Click on the video appearing on your screen now. Thank you for listening. God bless you.